The day of the hearing arrived, and Nsi's heart pounded as he stepped out of the car and into the courthouse. The weight of the media coverage, the accusations, and the personal fallout felt like a storm pressing down on him. Sylvia, the mother of the child, sat across the courtroom from him, her eyes cold and filled with bitterness. Nsi had once supported her, sending monthly allowances, believing the child to be his. But now, after the DNA test had proven otherwise, he had stopped, assuming his obligations had ended. Sylvia held up the photo of a child, showing it out to the court with her face full of emotions. Sylvia's lawyer, however, argued that Nsi had formed an emotional bond with the child and it was unfair for him to abandon his responsibilities just because of biology. Nye's lawyer made a strong case, presenting the DNA results and emphasizing that he had no legal obligation to continue financial support for a child who wasn't his. However, Sylvia's lawyer countered with stories of the child's attachment to Nsi, painting him as a father figure who had suddenly abandoned them. The courtroom was silent as Sylvia took the stand, describing the emotional toll it had taken on her child when Nsi withdrew his support. NSI sat quietly, holding the DNA results with captions, "Not the father," in his hands, feeling the weight of her words. As the judge listened carefully, Nsi couldn't help but wonder if this was the price of the life he had chosen: fame, fortune, and the devastation left in its wake. Mr. Nsi had exhausted all other options. The court battles, the DNA tests, the media frenzy, all of it weighed heavily on him, and yet the questions still haunted him. Why had this happened to him? Why had life dealt him such a cruel hand when he thought he had everything? Desperate for answers beyond the material world, following the advice of an old friend, Mr. Nsi decided to visit a renowned spiritual healer, a wise man known for guiding people through the darkest moments of their lives. A wise man lived deep in the rural countryside of Uganda. The journey itself felt like a pilgrimage. His driver took him far from the cities, along winding dirt roads, past fields and small villages. For the first time in years, Mr. Nsi found himself disconnected from the luxury and noise of fame, and he began to reflect on his life in a way he hadn't before. The wise man, known as Matoyo, was a revered elder, a man in his late 60s who had spent a lifetime offering spiritual guidance to those in need. Matoyo lived in a simple hut, surrounded by ancient trees and medicinal plants, far from the distractions of the modern world. When Nsi arrived, Matoyo welcomed him quietly, his presence calm and unshaken by Nsi's celebrity status. The air around the hut felt heavy with mysticism as Matoyo led Nsi to sit beside a fire. NSI explained his predicament, his shock over the DNA results, the loss of his children, and the emptiness he now felt despite his wealth. Matoyo listened intently, his wise eyes reflecting years of understanding and knowledge. "The answers you seek," Matoyo said softly, "cannot be found in this world of men. You must look within. You have lived a life out of balance," he said. "What you seek once again is not in the courts or the world of men. To find peace, you must first seek forgiveness from yourself and from those you have wronged. And then you have to go to your ancestors and seek blessings, guidance, and protection from them." Mr. Nsi felt a chill run down his spine as the healer prepared the ritual to cleanse his spirit and guide him toward clarity. Matoyo began the session with a series of rituals designed to cleanse NSI's spirit and clear the confusion clouding his mind. He lit sacred herbs, the smoke swirling in the air like whispers of the ancestors, and chanted ancient prayers in a language C couldn't understand but felt deeply in his soul. The wise man's voice carried a weight of ancient knowledge, as though he was speaking not just to NSI, but to generations past and future. NSI could feel a strange calm settle over him, like the tension he had been carrying for months was finally beginning to lift. Matoyo placed his hand gently on Nsi's head, speaking softly. You have lived your life chasing what glitters, but it is not gold. The truth you seek lies in your own reflection. The session continued for hours, Matoyo guiding Nsi through moments of meditation and deep self-reflection. He instructed Nsi to look into a bowl of water where his reflection shimmered in the flickering light. What do you see? Matoyo asked. Nai hesitated, staring at his own face, the face that had charmed so many women, that had been plastered on billboards and magazine covers, but for the first time he saw something else. He saw the loneliness, the emptiness behind fame. I see a man who has lost himself, Mr. Nsi finally whispered. Matoyo nodded, his eyes filled with understanding. You have the power to change, but it must begin with you accepting the truth of who you are, not the image you've created. Matoyo, the spiritual healer, prayed and advised Mr. Nsi before he left for the city. After all the chaos and confusion, Mr. Nsi felt a strange pull to return to where it all began, his childhood home. The fame, the court battles, and the shocking revelations about his children had weighed him down to the point that he could no longer ignore his inner voice. It was time to reconnect with his roots. The journey back was both physical and emotional, as Mr. Nsi traveled from the heart of Kampala city very early in the morning hours to the small village of Masaka where he had grown up. He had not visited in years, not since fame had swept him away into a world of luxury and excess. As the car rolled along the dusty road leading to the village, memories of his youth began to flood back. The simple life he had once known, the humble beginnings that had shaped him, were now distant memories overshadowed by the glamour he had come to know. The village looked almost unchanged, yet everything felt different to Mr. Nsi. When he reached the trading center of their village, some people recognized him and they started crowding out. Mr. Nsi decided to park his car and wave to the villagers, who were very excited to see him. And after he continued with his journey, though he was almost approaching the house, the small brick house he had grown up in stood under the same large mango tree he used to climb as a boy. It was a far cry from the luxurious mansion he now called home. As he stepped out of the car, Mr. Nsi felt the eyes of the villagers on him, some filled with recognition, others with curiosity. He was no longer just a local boy. He was a national star who had lost his way. Walking around the compound, he felt a lump in his throat as memories of his parents, who had long since passed away, resurfaced. He stood silently under a mango tree, letting the weight of the moment sink in. Inside the house, the air felt heavy with memories. The walls, though worn, were still decorated with old family photos, pictures of Nsi as a young boy, his parents, and his siblings. He walked slowly through the small living room, his footsteps echoing in the quiet. Every corner of the house held a memory, the place where he'd sit with his father, listening to stories of the old days, or the kitchen where his mother used to cook meals for the family. Nsi felt an overwhelming sense of loss. His parents had passed years ago, before he had even reached the height of his fame, and now, returning to this home, he realized just how disconnected he had become from his true self. Ni's world is falling apart, court battles, lost children, and a journey back to where it all began, but what he finds next will shock you. If this story moved you, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss part 3. It's only getting deeper from here.